Okay. Uh-oh. My window stopped capturing. Give me a second. Hi everyone. There we go. Hello everybody. Welcome to stream. Sorry for the delay. I was eating food. Yeah. So, hi guys. How's everyone doing today? Yeah, it's another Thursday, another stream. Thought we'd just do another crit because I don't know what's gonna happen next week because it's Christmas next week, so may skip a week. So why not do more crits? I know you guys like these a lot, so so guys, hi. So I have my document all ready to go. What I was doing was going all the way to the top and then going down, but I think I've been missing the same people every time because people who are at the top seem to come later in the stream. So what I'm gonna do is this time I'm gonna try something different. I am gonna go in I'm gonna randomly say 3 names that are in a different area. So I'm not gonna be in any order. So if you're on the Discord and you're trying to follow along with the order posted on Discord, you won't follow because I'm about to do something random. So, so sorry if you're trying to follow the order. That way, because I feel bad that I always call the people who are always at the top of the list and they're never here because they come later in the stream, and I feel really bad. I want to get to them sooner or later. So what I will do is pick 3 names. Like last time, what I did is last time I said 3 names, and if any of them are here, we'll talk about your work, and then if none of them are here, I'll call 3 more names. So I hope that works for you guys because I think it's gonna work. For sure. And yes, I can read chat. I look this way because my chat is this way. I can read your chats. So if you're new here, quickly what this is, I took people on my Discord submitted artwork that they wanted a critique on. It had to be completely finished art. Like I'm not doing works in progress or anything like that. And I'm gonna talk about it. Oh, I got a notification. What did I get? Oh, I got a sub. Who subbed? Give me a second. My pop-ups are delayed. Everyone's subbing right now. Getting all these pop-ups. My sub stream is delayed. Oh. Who was that? Your names aren't showing up on my feed. Why? I can't read your names. I'm sorry. Well, whoever just subscribed, thank you for subbing. Blame Sociable, I think? And there was a second one, but I couldn't read your name. So very important too, if your name is something different on Discord than it is in here on YouTube, you have to tell me. So if I call your name and you say I am here, but your username on YouTube isn't your username on Discord, I'm not gonna know who you are. So say I'm here and also I am this person, like I am username. So I know it's you, because I'm not gonna know otherwise. So with that, what I'm gonna do is read 3 names out, and if one of you are here or all 3 of you are here, that'd be crazy. And that's how we're gonna go. So if I've already critiqued your art in a past stream, I will not be getting to you at all this stream because I'm doing everyone for the first time first. Everyone gets a first chance before I do duplicates. So let's do that. Are you guys ready for this? It's gonna be fun. So let's go. My first 3 names are gonna be Emmy, Elva Twist, or Pet Snail. If one of you are here, please tell me. Thank you. And as we wait, if anyone also, if you guys just want to chat, you're welcome to chat away and, talk to each other, talk to me. I'm going to give advice to one person at a time, but if you maybe have ideas for this person in chat, you're welcome to share ideas. It's like an open conversation. Pet Snail is here. Yay. Okay, so Pet Snail, you posted 2 drawings. Which one do you want to talk about? The hand-drawn one? Or... Oh, they're both hand-drawn. Which of these 2 do you want to talk about, Pet Snail? The full body or the half body? And then also, what is it that you want to talk about? Like, what are you seeking advice on? I would like to know, so I can focus on something. Yellow-haired girl, sick. Second one, can do. And also, what do you want me to talk about? Let me know. Let me set my drawing program up. Get my colors. Okay. Okay. I shall wait. What food was I eating? I was eating lunch. Very late lunch. Design and colors. Okay. Alright. Design. It's hard to say what to... I guess before I touch the design, do you want to quickly give me like a 1-sentence summary of this character? Like, very short. Don't write an essay. Just give me like a 1-sentence summary of who this character is, so I have an idea of what to look for in this design. Thanks. And while I do that, I'm also going to do one thing. Let's make her not tilted, because she's tilted right now. Let's make her... There we go. There we go. Now she is straight. You drew her a little slanted, so I've unslanted her. Yeah. Tell me about her. Yes, if you guys submit right now, I will not get it for the stream today. You'll have to wait for another stream, but you can submit, but just be aware it won't come up this stream. Yeah. And if you submit, there are rules pinned. I have an issue with people not reading pinned comments, and I've pinned them for a reason. So please read the pinned comments. It's also in the description, like, of the channel. It says please read the pinned comments before you post. That goes for like every channel. If there's something pinned, you should probably read it. Okay, they're a demon. And they are fashionable and like to read and sleep. They, them. Okay, cool. So, let's see. Fashionable. Alright, and demon. Sick. We can work with that. So I guess first off, I don't see a lot of demon in this design. I guess the horns are demon-like, but they're very tiny. So it's giving me more like satyr vibes than demon vibes. And there's no like bright, reds are a demon color usually. So there's nothing like, they have their shirt, but their shirt isn't bright red. And their skin tone's normal skin tone. So if you really want to go full demon, I would like highly suggest not giving them human skin. Give them a color, like color their skin something. What I can do. Here. Let me just put it back because So fashionable. I guess if this character's supposed to be living like in kind of an older time period, I can see fashion working because they have this blouse that's like real fancy. However, if they're a modern day demon, I don't know if this, I'm going to go under the assumption they don't live in modern times, that this is more like a medieval world they live in. So I can totally see this blouse working. What I was going to do, just make this black and white so we can put some colors over it. Not that. No saturation. That, okay. So let's color this. I'm going to start with your colors, and then we're going to see what we can change, okay? Got yellow hair. So another thing, demon, don't be afraid to give them a crazy hair color. Why not? You know? Unless they're like trying to blend in with human society. You know? You know, if they're gonna be a demon, let them look like a demon. Because they just kind of look like a human right now. A human with horns. You know, there's nothing super demon-y about them. And if anyone in chat has suggestions, you're welcome to share. This is like an open, everyone's a part of the critique. Also, Pet Snail, if anything is not what you were looking for, maybe my advice isn't working for you, please let me know. I'm only going off the little bit I know about this character. I think this was skin color, so that's an arm. Okay, this is an arm. Their arms are a little funky. Their bones, like their elbows, are kind of protruding out of their body. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. If it is, you can go hard on that if they're supposed to do that. We got black. Okay. They live in a semi-modern world. Okay. Okay. So it's like, so if it's modern day, do they wear modern day clothes or do they wear old-timey clothes? Because this character is currently wearing real old-timey clothes. Like, they would not fit in a modern day setting. If so, and you still want them to be fancy, we can go way hard on that idea. Like, you can change the clothes completely. So right now I'm just going to do colors. We'll get to clothes in a second. And then I'll do like a tiny sketch about maybe some of the ideas I'm thinking of. Their eye color is the same as their hair color. Good to know. That actually helps. So right now, your color palette is working. Like, it's a simple palette. There's not like a crazy amount of colors, you know? So by itself, this is a good color palette. However, I don't know if I'm getting demon from it. That's the only thing, you know? If you really want to say demon, then I think we got to do some changing. Okay. So, this is it right now. Okay, so old-timey outfits, okay. So let's play with your colors. also, if you know, what are they holding, so I can get a better idea of the thing in their hand. Okay. So, if we're gonna stick with these themes, you know what? So, fashion. Let's think about colors of outfits. Like, I like the color palette, so I want to stick in your like the vein of your palette. So, if we can instead, what if their outfit was the part that was golden, showing that they're like this pretty fancy person, right? That could work. We get a golden outfit, right? Ah, okay, they have a tail. I did not know. It looks kind of like it's in their hand. Good to know. So that's something we can think about in the design. It looks kind of like they're holding it. It's because of the placement in relationship to the hand. You know, the curl is exactly where the hand is. It looks like they're gripping it. So let's use your reds. How about the reds it's like more of a redder skin tone. So I have a story that has a bunch of races in it, and there's humans and elves. And humans and elves generally look similar. The only difference is elves have pointy ears. However, what I decided to do is to further differentiate them, the color palettes of those races are very different. So humans have very muted colors. They're very pale or sickly looking, or dark colors, very much dark, grim colors. They're not pretty to look at. While elves in my story have these bright, vibrant colors, some of them unrealistic colors to what humans have, like red hair, like bright green hair, or like bright blue hair, right? Elves have these bright colors, right? So for me, I was able to easily differentiate races through that way. And like it works because one of our main characters is like hiding that she's an elf. And through that, her like people always comment like, "Oh, your skin's very bright." Like it's very odd to see such a brightly skinned human. She kind of laughs it off like, "Oh, yeah, so funny, so weird, right?" So that's something to think about, you know? So just it's color theory can work that way. So if you're having a hard time showing race difference because there's like just a simple difference, you know, why not go crazy, right? That's just a thought. Um, okay, we can keep the black cuffs. I think that works. And I like the little red. I like the red tips on the fingers. I think that works. Okay. Hair. So, yeah, we could keep the red going because we're basically just swapping your color palettes. But if you still wanted the golden hair, it could be more like fire. You could just straight up give them fire hair, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. Which is like a gradient. They got more of a gradient going on. So, with this in mind, I'm just going to block out the color. And then so I'm not going to keep it orange. Instead, let's gradient something. So let's go from yellow and it'd be cool too if this is a theme. Like maybe all the demon characters have gradient colored hairs. Like they don't have a single hair color. Maybe it's just like a thing that they all have gradients. That could be cool. I'm on circle. we go. Fire hair. Dope. That looks sick. And this way you can have still some yellow in the hair, and it can also easily, like, now that the lower parts are darker, you can see the difference between the shirt and the, yeah. Another thing that this shirt should definitely be colored, a transparent color, so we can see underneath it. Yeah. So the skin color is just going to be a little bit different shade because they're sleeves. So as for the tail, I'm going to say you should match the horns and the tail to be the same color. And if we're going to stick with these reds, it would be cool if the horns were red and the tail was red too, you know. I would suggest keeping them the same. And then we can just make the shoes have a color too, so they fit the scheme. Okay. And we can keep the eyes yellow. Why not? That worked. Okay. That's color-wise. I'm not sure if you wanted more of, like, on the design-wise. I would just say I can do a really quick sketch of some things I may personally change, like, design-wise. Very quick. I'm not going to color this. It's just going to be a sketch. Based off of some of the changes that I made just now, as well as some of the things you told me. So, hi everybody. Welcome if you're just joining. We're only on the first person, so you've come at a good time. So quickly, I mean, what I would do, I want to keep like your general vibe the same. I like the eyes. We're good there. Bigger horns, honestly, I would go for bigger horns, just so you can really see them. Unless maybe it's like an age thing, like as they grow older, their horns get bigger. Another thing, a lot of demons have pointed ears. That's just a thing that is common. What else? Their hair, if we're going full fire now, personally, I would make it like crazy curly and like real fiery. I like the pointed elbows. I don't know if that's a style thing or like if that's normal for your drawings or if that's just a thing for this character. But if you want pointed elbows for your demons, you can just go straight on in, like full point. Just point them up. I like the claws. I'd say fully go for claws. Don't be afraid. I think some of these ideas you have are good. You're just kind of holding yourself back. Like you're afraid to fully commit to a crazy design. And you gotta fully commit. Don't be afraid to commit. I like the ruffles. That works. Give them, you know. And if she's gonna have pointy elbows, maybe they also have pointy shins here. I have an alien design that has that. You know, go for it. Fully commit to the designs, and then make sure I can tell it's a tail by when you draw it. Don't block it. And I'd say keep it pointy too, so it matches the points on this character. This is so rough, but you get the idea. Fully commit to your design choices. I think you're like just hinting on the edge of something good. And you're just too afraid to cross the border. Take a step, cross the border. Okay. I hope this helped, Pet Snail. We're gonna go to the next one now. I'm excited to see what you do with these characters. Okay. So now, let's... I'm going to say 3 more people's names, guys, alright? If you're here and your name is different, then on Discord, please tell me who you are. Let's see. How about... Where are we at? Okay. Next 3. Here we go. Yim Yum, Mori, or Wikiotic. One of you is here. Please tell me in chat. Yim Yum? Yeah, Yim Yum, Mori, or Wikiotic. I wrote Yim Yum for some reason. Okay. If none of them are here, I'll move on. Wikiotic is here. Okay. Perfect. I guess we'll start there. Perfecto. Alright, you submitted this girl. What is it that you would like advice on? Please let me know. What are we looking for? Get rid of my notifications. How's everyone doing today in general? Y'all vibing? It snowed like crazy today for like the first real snow of the year. I had to shovel my car out. That was fun. Anatomy and colors. Okay, sure. Okay, there's nothing crazy. Okay, anatomy and colors. So I guess we'll start with anatomy and break down your drawing like I usually do, just because that's easier than color. Colors are going to take a bit. So let's break down your anatomy, shall we? Okay, so head. Is this drawing? Okay. You guys have no snow? Sometimes I wish I lived somewhere with no snow, because shoveling sucks, especially when you drive a car. Snow in a car, not fun. Let me tell you. I need my car to get to work. Can't. Shoulder. Interesting. Okay. They got really big shoulders. And the smallest chest. Jeez, they have like... Okay. Interesting. You have the world's smallest rib cage going on here. Especially if this is where the skirt puffs up and that's the size of the skirt, you have the world's smallest rib cage. And I'm kind of concerned for this character's health. Are they alright? This kind of rib cage would probably mean she needs a wheelchair. Yikes. Okay. Good notice already. We're already noticing things. Okay, this is her breakdown. Really large hands. That's okay, actually. Her hands just seem large because her rest of her body kind of is tiny. Okay, she's got a big head too, like a real big head. Cool. Let's talk about what we can do. First off, I'm just going to take this transform tool. If we just, not just elongate her, but push her head down so she has a better sized head, as well as more waist area. We're already getting something a bit more believable as a human. Alright, Here we go. Transform tool is my favorite thing. Free transform, or warp, if you're a warp tool fan, it's the same idea. But I'm a free transform tool freak, let me tell you. Okay, let me trace this anatomy now, after just doing that, and let's see the difference. Obviously, there's some things I can't fix with just transform tool. It has to do with where the skirt is located. But already, I think this makes way more sense anatomy-wise. Yeah, look at the difference already. She has a longer rib cage, so it makes a little more sense. And her head is the correct size for her body. All right, that was that. So first breakdown is that waist area. So how to fix this? Let's talk about it. I'm gonna make her smaller. So the reason I said her shoulders are very long is because generally, this is a general thing. It doesn't apply to everyone, but it's the common factor is females have a slimmer shoulder line. Men tend to have a wider shoulder line. So in general, if you're drawing humans and you want a quick way to show the difference between a male and a female, females will have shorter distance of their shoulders while males will have a longer distance. So if you just want like one quick way to show male-female body difference, that'll also help with the chest area because the slimmerness of a female will make the body look more female while the wideness will make it look more masculine. So if you have a trans character, it might, you may want to have wider shoulders for a feminine character, which is totally acceptable. But it is a thing to think about, If you have, wider shoulders, it's going to make them look a little more wider on the top because that's just what the longer your shoulder width is, the longer your shoulder line is. That's why they measure that, when you get like a fitting for a suit or something or a dress, they measure your shoulder line. It's all for that reason because, we're all different, but generally you got to get something that fits you. Okay. So that's just something to think about. If you have problems with shoulders, just generally females will have a slimmer shoulder width. I say generally. This doesn't apply to everyone again. This is just a common factor in genetics. Okay. So, you can keep this, I like the high-waisted skirt. However, I'm going to show you why I'm making this skirt come down longer in a sketch. Let's talk about this. So, right now, let me sketch to you the waist of your character. So right now, your character, she got her boobs, and then here's where, right under them, we got her high, it's like a high-waisted skirt. And then you had it be here, right? This is her skirt line. However, because it's a high-waisted skirt, her waist is actually down here. So do you know what that means? Just open panty shot. Straight up. Her skirt is so high up that it's just revealing everything if we brought this down. So if you want a skirt that's high-waisted, you have to, if we draw the waist, it can be high-waisted, but it's got to poof up down here. Okay. Or else you're just revealing all to the world. Unless you want that character to reveal all to the world. That's something to think about. So, generally, it's good to, either draw the whole body and then make it bigger so you at least can see what it's going to look like. So, unless it's not a high-waisted skirt. If the skirt's not high-waisted, that means her waistline is directly underneath where her boobs are. And no human being has their waist right under their boobs. No one. It's not how we work. So that would be wild. Just imagine that. Oh, that's terrifying. So I'm just gonna. So if you want to show the frills, just make her smaller in the frame or just crop it out. You know, you don't have to see it. They're cool, but we don't have to see it. Okay. I like how you're all enjoying my description. I'm glad I can entertain you. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Had gradient on still. Is this helping you, Wikiotic, at all? Let me know if I'm just spouting nonsense at you. If any of this is helpful. I don't want to do that. And other people in chat, is any of this helping you? I'd like to know if any of this applies to you as well, because I'm always interested to know if there's, you know, a general like if other people can understand this too. Okay. So let's talk about her chest. So, big boobs characters. Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with having the large tatas. I'm down for it. I'm here for it. However, you must be careful that your lines follow the direction it's moving. This is not currently following. You know what? I'm going to warp to it. The right angle. So, let's warp it. Let's do this. You got to make sure you follow that angle. Or else it doesn't look like it has a direction that it's going. So let's make sure it follows the direction of the body. Okie dokie. I'm glad my ways of describing things to get past censorship is enjoyable for you guys. I'm here to make this a fun time. It's learning time, but I want to, you know, we gotta have some fun. Another thing, I think it's a little too big. Like here, like generally, like they're inhuman. Like if this is where it's gonna be, it should stop here. So I think you went a little too far. So let's just fill that in. And then this one too should follow the direction of the body. So let's warp it. Let's do that again. And she's at an angle, so we want to make sure that it's following the angle she is at. And we are not just guessing, you know? You have direction. Follow the direction you've come up with. Don't just guess. Okay. And then, same thing. I think you went a little too far here. As in, yes. So, again, you can go large, but make sure you aren't going like, you ever seen those animes where like the jiggle physics, like they just completely don't make sense, like they defy, like one goes up while the other goes down, and they're just like giant for no reason, like. And if a human being actually had that large jugs going on, that they would have major back problems and probably couldn't walk. And I know many people who do have very large ones and have to get reduction surgery because they have terrible issues in their health because of how large they are. So make sure you aren't going in that angle, basically. Is you can go large, but make sure you aren't literally destroying their spine in the process. And that they actually make sense to like how humans work. If you need to study a model who has large, go for it. That's what models are for. Use them. With that in mind, this is going to take this. Now what we can do is bring your shoulders in, because I like how you all know exactly what I'm talking about when I brought up the jiggle physics. Love it. We're all cultured here. Okay. Drag in the shoulder. Okay. I spent way too long on this, I'm now realizing. We've been here a while. So I'll do colors really quick. Now it looks screwed up because I transform tooled it. Hold on. Let me fix this. Transform tool first. Okay. Okay. So let's show them back to back so you get an idea of what we did. So here. You guys ready? So fixes versus original. I'll flash them again. Yeah. So, already, what were some, let's go over again what were some of the things I talked about. Making sure that her anatomy makes sense, that her proportions make sense, that the head is very large, so be careful of how large the head is. Always, you can use your transform tool or the warp tool or a liquefied tool. I highly suggest it. Watch her waistline. Her skirt was way too high up. It didn't really make sense for the outfit, or else everything would be showing underneath. So always think about what you're not seeing as well. And shoulders, watch how wide they are. So now that I'm flipping back and forth, do you guys now see how big the head looks? Now that I'm flipping, you may not have seen it before, but I saw it immediately. Once I started tracing the anatomy, when you trace the anatomy, you can see the big difference once you start tracing it. And all I did, you watched me do it. All I did was squeeze the top down. I didn't even redraw anything. I just squeezed the top half of her down. So yeah. And then another thing is watch the chest. You know, make sure you can go large, but make sure it makes sense. You know, that we're not guessing. You know, if you need to use a reference of a person who looks that way, use a reference of a person who looks that way. And again, I didn't redraw anything. All I did was just kind of squish some stuff together and make things longer. That's it. Okay. I can see you all being very confused in chat. So, always do an undersketch of your anatomy. It'll always help. While we're here, I'm gonna ask Wikiotic, do you still want to talk about colors? Because we've gone for a while on anatomy. I don't know if you do. Because I will tell you my, I'll just give you, a general understanding. I can tell she's, a candy character. She's giving me, if any of you know about Homestuck, there were these candy versions of Homestuck characters that were purposefully blown out in, their color palettes. They looked ridiculous because they were supposed to be candy. So she's giving me that same vibe of the candy Homestuck characters, of her palette, and I honestly think her palette works because she's supposed to be this crazy colored thing. I think it works. I would watch your eyes. The glow effect is cool, but I think you may have gone way too hard on your shiny eyes. It looks as if she's shooting laser beams out of her eyes. Her eyes are straight up glowing. So I just watch that. And if you do glow something, make sure the shadows follow where the glow is coming from, because her whole head is flat shaded. There's no shading to represent that her eyes are glowing. So it's a little odd that her eyes are glowing when nothing else has shadows representing the glow of the eyes. Okay. So yeah, I like this. You went simple, which I like. So it's working. You used all your colors in other places, which is nice. So you didn't just yeah. So, okay, yeah, they're glow in the dark. So if they're glow in the dark, then her hair should represent that. So, in example, we are gonna do this. Just really quick. I know we do this a lot. So, if she's glowing, then we make her glow. Shadow it so she is glowing, you know? Otherwise, you can't really tell that she's glowing, right? This is very rough, but... Okay. General idea? Does this make sense? Show the glow. Okay. I didn't do the rest of the body, but it would apply to everything, you know. The whole thing. Yada yada. Okay. Okay, Wikiotic, we've been here a while. I hope that helped. And I'm excited to see what's later from you. I know you have a very strong style. I like what you make. I just think you gotta fix what's going on underneath your sketch first. So your biggest problems were just literally the biggest problem was making sure that the structure of the form makes sense before you go on to making it look pretty. Because you got the looking pretty down. You got that down. It's now fixing the structure. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to say 3 more names, and we're going to go from there. So there's a couple people here. I'm gonna hop to the top and see what we got. All right, I'm gonna say 3 more names. If you are here, and if your name is different on Discord, please tell me so I know who you are. All right, wow, 2 people have the same username on Discord, so that's gonna confuse me. Okay, so, if, let's see. If you are here, tell me. Ready? I just have to see who I haven't done already. Okay, Aspen, Chinchill Illustrations, or Golds in all caps. Who used to be called, yeah, Golds. So Golds, Aspen, or Chinchill Illustrations. And if more than one of you are here, we'll do that instead too. So, is anybody here? Golds is here. Okay, perfect. Aspen's also here. Whoa, everyone's here. Okay, is Chinchill Illustrations here too? Because that'd be crazy. Okay, I'm gonna go in the order I have you on my document. So, Golds, you're first. You submitted 2 pieces. Which do you want to talk about? So we'll go Golds and then we'll go Aspen after that. Golds, which of these 2 do you want to talk about? You have your full piece or your headshot? And also, what do you want to talk about? What about it do you want me to talk about? Just getting rid of these notifications. The second one, the full one, the full illustration. Okay, what about it do you want to talk about? Let me know. Composition. Okay, we can talk about composition, sure. For sure. All right. If there's anything else as we go you want to talk about, let me know. So let's talk about how we can show a good composition. You ready? So what I'm going to do is break your whole thing down into its shapes. So I'm just going to trace the silhouettes of all your major shapes. So we got this character. Okay. Okay. And then we got the floor. And then this is the wall. Okay. There's a thing here. Not sure what it is, but it's really interesting to look at, which may be an issue. I'm going to talk about why having something so cool all the way far from the main focal point is a problem if we're not supposed to be looking at it. Because this thing is sick. I don't know what it is, but my eye wants to look at it because it's weird, which is a problem. Let me finish sketching this, and then I'll tell you why it's a problem. And then we got this like platform. Okay. And then we got a bunch of these circles. Okay. So, here's the breakdown. Let's make it tiny. Can we tell what's going on when it's small? Kind of. Not exactly. Much harder. I'll say that. So this is why you should thumbnail tiny. I don't know if you thumbnailed this, but always draw them like inches small, like the smallest of drawings you can. That's how you can first see what's working in your composition, is if it's tiny. So what I'm going to do is make more tiny drawings. And we're just going to play with some of the size stuff. So how about if we got this background, first off, the background perspective was off. There's something odd about the way where she's standing at an angle, but we're not looking at her in that angle. So we can keep this here, but we gotta up the wall. Otherwise, we'd be, the way you've drawn her, like with that background, we would be seeing like top down more. Like we'd see a little bit more top down like this, right? Because you've made the floor kind of slope. So if we want her to be center, right, then we have to change the floor angle, for sure. That object, you should not put something like that. So the reason why is, in a composition, you want to make sure everything on screen is placed in a place that purposefully directs the viewer to look in one place. So, if you have a color that's super bright and it's all the way in the top corner, everyone's going to look at the super bright color that is nowhere else on your composition before they actually look at the main idea of the piece. So, if that bright color was on the character that you're supposed to look at, that would be good, because you want the color to, like, or something really bright, like if you had a big glow and it was coming from the character, you want it to be the focus point, okay? So putting a really weird, cool object in the back corner, like far away from the main focus, is distracting, because no one's looking at what we're supposed to look at, because you've kind of made something way more interesting than the actual composition, right? So I'm going to say don't include whatever that thing was. I like the square you had behind her, but I'm going to suggest what we're going to do is have it frame her face. So it's directly behind her face only, so the composition of the square behind her is framing her head. So it's like her head is in a frame. So we look at her head, you know? So it's like, this is important. Kind of like, if you think of Renaissance art and like old Renaissance paintings of the Holy Trinity, every single one of them, the God and Jesus and Mary, they always have a big circle, of a golden circle behind their head. It's supposed to represent a halo, but it also forces you to look at them, because you're like, whoa, what is this weird golden circle going on behind this person's head? And then once you look there first, you realize, oh, it's Jesus. That's why he has a golden circle behind his head. But the golden circle accentuates that this is the important character and you should be looking at them. So, in this sense, it's the same idea. The square of the object behind her should accentuate her head. So we're like, look at her, she's important. She's the thing you should look at, right? That was some art school mumbo jumbo I just spewed at you. Welcome to all the art history classes I had to take. So those are things to think about. So if you look at like famous paintings with good composition, you can learn a lot from them. All right, and then next, her pose. I'm going to say we need a clearer silhouette. She's too sturdy. And then, so with these circles, we can totally go crazy. I think you need something that's like straight up being cut off. And then some that are like really close to her, so we can really get a sense of the space. I don't need this one. So I made this. Now let's see if we can put it into practice in your actual drawing, shall we? Ready, guys? Let's do this. So, first off, this thing we're saying goodbye to. Doesn't exist anymore. Cool. Wonderful. That's gone. Next, we got to change the angle of the floor. It's too... you know what we can do? I'm going to bring this whole thing down. Oh, stop with your... better. Okay. Is this helpful so far? Is this from anyone? Is this helpful to everyone else too? Is anyone... Do you guys like my art school spiel about Renaissance paintings? It was annoying to learn, but they come in handy, I'll tell you. Art history is important. You understand how we get to the point that we're at today with art. Although, the amount of religious paintings I had to talk about made me annoyed because I never knew what was going on because I'm not Christian. So, I would be very confused. I just remember being in art history class and then being like, all right, what is the scene that this is depicting? And everyone in the class was like, oh, it's when blah, 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 Mary Jesus happened. And I'm like, huh? Sure, yes, that's what happened. I know these things. I, too, know Bible. I just realized I goofed. I was always like, yes, I know this. I'm not faking that I have this knowledge. What? You're crazy. I liked it when I took the art history classes that were not about the Bible. That was nice. That's very few. There's not a lot of those. I'll say that. I liked the sentence somebody once told me. Most art history is just fan art of the Bible. Like all the history we look at for art is literally just Bible fan art. That's what it is. And I love that sentence. It's true. It's not wrong. Just a lot of Bible fan art. Let's be real. And let's just be honest about what it really is. This is ridiculous. I just should color it. It's taking too long. Alright, we're getting there. Sorry. I decided I'm not gonna stamp tool it. That was taking too long. Okay, already. She makes sense in this angle. The floor fits her perspective more. Like way more. So let's get rid of all of these lines. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is change the angle, change this square behind her. Here we go. We're going to make it so it actually is, it shows her head. It only goes over her head. So we know, look at her head. Her head is important. And while I'm here, I'm actually going to make your whole character bigger. She's very tiny. Like a little too tiny. Let's make her bigger. Because if this was like hanging on a wall, you wouldn't be able to see her. So let's let her fill the space up. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And then this square behind her is going to accentuate her head. So we know, hey, look at her. She's important. I know this is rough, but bear with me. Obviously, I'm not being clean about this, but you get the idea. Another thing I would say is her pose kind of is sucky. I guess she's supposed to be a ruler of some kind, right? However, I highly suggest you bring one of her hands out so she has a better silhouette. Because that'll be way more interesting to look at if she's talking to you with her hands, like she's gesturing to us. So when you're zoomed out, you can kind of have a better time looking at this character. Because her silhouette is too plain right now. Well, let's make her more interesting. She's got an uninteresting pose that you wouldn't want to look at from a distance, basically. And that also means, you know, making sure her outfit matches the flow of how she's standing. I'm just kind of putting random colors in right now. But you get the idea. All right, and then the final thing is those glowy orbs. So I think I said this, but you really should like really push this glow. These things should be huge, so we can see how close they are to us. So like, we can really get perspective. So at least one of them has to be very close to the viewer. So we can like really get some crazy perspective. This one down here is close to us. It should be large. Okay? Everything that's closer to her is going to be smaller, but once they're closer to us down on the floor, they have to be bigger, or else they wouldn't make sense in space. Otherwise, the perspective would not have actual correct perspective, basically. And this is still the line. Your floor line is here. Don't forget that. Kind of blocked it, but yeah. So the ones close to her are good. Also watch that none of the glows are like getting are like tangents. They're like exactly on like a line. Make sure that if they're on a line, they aren't like touching perfectly. These really tiny ones should probably be more behind her than away from her. If they're away from her, they should be larger. And fill the space up. Okay. I also don't know, was this one up here? Because it's kind of not one. So what I'm going to do is lower it. Because there isn't really an orb that's there. If that was that big, that would not look correct. That didn't work. So I'm just going to straight up color it in. So long. The glow behind her can work if it is like the Jesus thing, a glow around her head. So, it's supposed to cause the holograms, then center it. It should be in the center. You have a central piece. Everything is in the center. Keep it that way. And that also will then, if it's centered, it can also then help show her as glowing. You know, if we're glowing right above her, our view is like looking at her now. Okay. Very rough, but you get the idea. These tiny ones, keep them far away. Why did it do that? Okay. Very rough, but I think you get the idea. And then I'll quickly hop between the two. So you guys get a better idea. Glow her up. So you got, make sure that they make sense in space. If they're coming from the center point, maybe make all the glows, all your glowing orbs right now are facing different directions. Maybe they should all face the same direction. You know, it's just something to think about. To make sure, and if they all should have the red text, make sure every single one of them, even the ones in the distance, have red text over them, which could be just like a little line. You could just put a little line. We don't need to see the details. But we need to be able to know that these are all the same thing. Okay. Oh, I also cut her off. Sorry about that. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Okay. So, let's now compare. So quickly, what I'm going to do is just fill this in. So, okay, you ready, guys? Let's compare. Like before. Old composition, new composition. There we go. So, let's rediscuss some of the things we did. We made her bigger so we could see her because she's important. We centered everything. We changed the angle of the floor so it actually made sense to how she was standing. We made some of the glows really big so the perspective was even more pushed and made sense perspective-wise. We got rid of the object that confused me in the background because it was really interesting. I just wanted to look at it. And we centered the glow, and we also centered the square behind her so that we outline her face. So we know that that's her face. And then we also changed her hand to her position. We just added her movement in her hand to show that she's in the middle of speaking to us, but it also makes her silhouette more interesting to look at. That's it. That's composition for you. Composition's hard. And the fact that you're like doing crazy pieces like this already shows that you're doing good. For sure. You're on the road to success. It's just go farther with this, you know? There's the grids you can use to help lay these out. You know, the what's it called? The rule of thirds. If you don't know about the rule of thirds, I highly suggest reading about the rule of thirds and maybe attempting some compositions that show the rule of thirds, like as best as you can. But yeah, you are on the roll. I know you're making a comic too, which is all composition wise. So this is like you're good to go. I think you have the starting point that you're at. Like your concepts of your characters and your spaces. Like you have good concept for the places they are in. The next thing is just making the places look believable, and just watching your perspective. Okay, we took a long time on that. So next up we got Aspen. Aspen, are you still here? And if you are still here, Aspen, what is it you want to talk about in your drawing? Pull it up. Okay. General advice. Okay. So there's nothing like specific you really want to talk about? Okay. So what I can do, I guess we can just do the basic anatomy breakdown, because that's always a good place to start. Trying to see where we're at there. And then I can just give some digital art advice. I'm pretty sure if I remember, you're very new to digital art. I don't know if that's correct or not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember you saying that you're very new to digital art, and I think that was you. There's a lot of people who say that, so I'm never sure. And if so, I can give you some general digital art advice just to maybe make your life easier in making this thing, or making other future drawings as well. Okay. So yeah, let's break your anatomy down. Let's do that, for sure. So we got your head. Okay. Okay, we got the neck. Okay, I already see something going on with the neck we can talk about. Now we got the shoulders. You got wide shoulders. You did good. This works. Okay. I see something we can talk about with the arms. And then a hand that I also think we can talk about. And we got the waist. And then this is the chest. Your knee. Okay. Okay, anatomy. Here is your man. Okay, so some general things I noticed that I think we can talk about. Your neck is really fat. In compared to the size of the head, like really fat. So definitely should be skinnier. Your elbows are really high up, a little too high up. The elbows should definitely be down more. And your same thing with your knees. Your knees are too high up. So this character needs more knee and arm space. So let's see what we can do to like. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. To do some fixes. So first off, oh, and the hands are very tiny. That's another thing. Get some tiny hands. So let's just take these arms and push them down a little. Everyone's complimenting your feathers. Yes, you have very nice feathers. I'm a sucker for not drawing all the feathers, so seeing you do all these details is very nice because I personally would never dare. I'm so like, I'm scared. I'm always scared of feathers, but you did a really good job with these feathers. Okay. Your pattern's gonna get a little screwed up, but I'm sorry. There goes your pattern. I'm so sorry. Ugh. So, already, we just bring that down. Already good. I think the width of his like arms seems to be skinny in comparison to his waist, his chest. His chest is very wide, so he feels like he should be more muscular because of how wide his chest is. But his like actual arm and shoulder like don't show the muscles. So I would suggest not being scared to make him have a little fatter bones. Because his body seems more muscular, and if we want to keep him muscular, we should thicken things. That's just, I mean, I might not have the best right now. I may not be able to do it right now, but it's just to think about, you know, muscles are fatter on your bones usually. And then this hand is very tiny, so let's make it big. You guys like my photo editing? Thanks. Maybe not that big. I like the photo editing in these because it, instead of just me redrawing it from nothing, by photo editing it, I can show you the actual physical changes that are happening, so that like it's not like a mystery. Like I'm not like what I'm saying you can see actually happening in the changes, which is why I like doing it. Because I'm a visual kind of person where I need to visually see everything happening in front of me or written down word by word. Like you need to explain word by word to me the things that are going on. And seeing these visual representations of these changes, I think, is always so helpful. I think his eyes are really wide apart, so let's see if we can do something about that. And his nose is very low on his face. I know that might be a style thing, but I would be careful. his nose is down, like, so his mouth is here and his eyes are like up here. Like there's a lot of space between his nose and there should be more space here than there is here, like the nose. So this just comes from drawing a lot of real people. So your eyebrows, every face, the eyebrows are always like, here's your eyeballs. This is why when I draw people, I always start with the eyes, like real people. Like when I draw a real human being and I'm drawing the face, I always start with the eyes, because every part of your body comes from where your eyes are placed. So if you have your eyes correct, you can figure out where everything else is. So eyeballs, right? And then you got like your lids, and then you have your eyebrows. Your eyebrows come here, and that's right where your eyebrows end is where your nose begins. Every human being. Your eyebrows, you can check your own faces. Where your eyebrow ends, your nose begins. So then right away, your nose starts. And we got the bridge of your nose, right? And then you go for as long as that is, and then you have the little gap. Some people have a visible gap. Like I have a pretty visible gap between my nose and my mouth. And from that, you get that gap in, and then you can get the mouth. And then again, the chin gap. I have a visible chin gap too. And then that's how you know where your chin is. Same thing. And then the eye to ear distance is the same idea, right? So everything comes from your eyes. So something to think about when you come up with character, when you're doing like cartoony kind of things, same thing should apply. Once you know that your nose starts, like the bridge of your nose starts right where your eyebrow ends, you're going to know, okay, now I know where I should put my nose. And if you're going for something crazy weird, like a weird alien, you can put the nose lower, because you know that looks alien, because no human would have their nose that low. That make sense? I hope you all did the face touch. That'd be funny. Let me know if you checked. I think his face is a little lopsided too. So let's fix that. Well, this is a reason why I always say, you got to study from real life before you cartoonify. Learn the rules before you break them. Because, like I just explained, those are the rules, and I know how to break them. So I know how to make something look different than that. Okay. So now we got this part. Everyone did it. Good. Good to know. So did your nose start where your eyebrow ends? Let me know if I was right. Yes, it did. Good, see? I know everyone's always like, well, I don't fit the anatomy that people say is the way people should look. You do, though. We're all from the same basic structure, or else none of us would be human beings. You'd be a completely different species if you didn't fit the same basic structures that a human fits, Okay. Okay. Straighten his legs out a little bit, so he's not so lopsided. And again, his legs should probably have some meat on them. to match the thickness of his top half. And then this whole part is also a little indented, so let's do this. Make sure he stays structurally the same as we go down. All right. And then for his tail, I'm going to suggest we we just go hard on how wide it is, so his silhouette's a little more interesting. So just going to push it out a little more. Okay, this should be centered. Okay. So I'm a person who doesn't like putting pockets in, like you did. But if you're gonna put the pockets in, make sure they're actually where a pocket would be located. So it would be closer to the sides, for sure. And then make sure also his jacket should be more down here to follow the anatomy. Okay. I think that's as good as I think we're gonna get for now, at least anatomy-wise and with how much I can do with a photo edit. So I'll also, before I move on, just give you some quick things I can tell you're doing digitally that will help you if you don't do these anymore. One is the soft brush you're doing. You're like airbrushing, or you're just using a soft brush of some kind to do your shadows or your color changes. And I'm gonna say you should not do that. Never airbrush. Your airbrush is your enemy. And that goes for when you shade. There's something you can get an airbrush effect sometimes when you shade. If you go too soft with your shadows, it gives it an airbrush look, without you like kind of realizing that that's what you're doing. So never use an airbrush or ever use a brush that is like soft. And if you use a soft brush to shade, make sure you're lowering the opacity so that you can get variety. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm using a soft brush right now. If I lower my opacity, I can make it less harsh between the colors. So it's like nice, and you don't actually see the blur, so it doesn't look so blurry. So just be careful of that. Don't use the blur tool. Never use the blur tool. That's the same idea. The blur tool is your enemy. Never blur tool. If you need to blur something, use the blur effect in your program. Never use the blur tool. Another thing is never use pure white. If you're going to make something white, and it's going to be part of the body, make it off-white. That way, like you have a white background, you can tell that it's actually a color and it's not transparent. Like with your white background, the wings look like they are transparent, less so that they are supposed to be white, because your background's white. And then be careful. You gave an airbrush to the shoulders. Be careful if you're gonna shade the whole thing. Don't just, because you shaded the neck, but then you didn't shade the rest of the body. So if you're going to shade the whole thing. Don't be selective with your shading. And if that's subtle shading, I'm going to suggest you are probably going to really enjoy cell shading. I will highly suggest you try cell shading because you'd like it, which means you use a hard brush for your shadows and you just use a color that is darker to do shading. It's always the best type of shading to do for beginners in digital as well because you don't need to know all the fancy tools. And you're just going to like it a lot more than doing all this cell shading stuff. Also, you have this blue thing going on where I think that's supposed to be your shadows. Don't do that. Don't use this blue line as your shadows or this purple line because it doesn't look like a shadow or a highlight. It looks like you made a line art mistake. Like it's part of your line art and you made a mistake. So if you're going to shade, make sure you're using like an actual color related to it. And if you have a pattern, you can pick a dark color and just lower your opacity. And it'll, it'll do the effect for you. I'm not going to shade this. But that's some tips about when you're doing digital art. Okay, let's hop between the two. Here we go. Old, new. Yay. Okay. So to recap, watch the structure of your face. Make sure the eyes aren't too far apart and that the nose is high up enough on the face. Make sure the neck isn't too fat, especially where it meets the head. Watch the width of your arms and that they actually match how muscular the character is and the hands aren't too small, as well as make sure that the shoulders are lower. Not the shoulders, the elbows are actually lower so the arm is actually long enough, as well as you don't have to bend the knees. If we don't see it, we don't see it. That's it. And put some personality in like the wing, in the like tail and stuff. Your wings are cool, but they're very rigid. The one thing I will say about the wings is they're very rigid. I'd love to see them have a personality. Like what if one of them was like open, or like the wings were talking, like their hands, make them move in a way that fits. It'd just be more interesting in general. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Time is it? All right, let's go. Let's keep going. I gotta read that later. Okay, let me open Discord and I'm gonna say 3 more names. Here we go. Let's go to the bottom. Why not? What's on the bottom of this? Okay. Let's see. So you guys know, if you're not in the Discord, you can join and ask for advice from everyone. A lot of people like to give advice. There's a feedback room, so you don't need to be me. You can give advice and be anybody. So if you want to give advice or you need help on something and you're not on stream and you just need it, you need the help, you can also put works in progress into the feedback room. So here I'm only doing finished products. But on the feedback room in our Discord, you can put works in progress that you're working on to get advice as you work, just in case you go too far and you can't go back. You can get advice as you go. And it's been helpful for a lot of people, I think. I know people here in chat probably have used the feedback room and helped a lot, I'm sure. And we have a nice environment. Nobody's allowed to be mean. If you're mean, we kick you out. So it's a good, safe place to ask for advice. So that's just something to think about if you thought about joining. Okay, here we go. So 3 names I'm gonna say is, here we go. Where are you on here? Okay. If you are here, tell me in chat you're here, and if your username is different, please tell me who you are on Discord. All right. Honey and Syrup, Slineko, and Heart of the Sea. Honey and Syrup, Slineko, and Heart of the Sea. Or Slieko. I'm sorry I said that wrong probably. One of you are here. Or all of you are here. Please tell me. Honey and Syrup is here. Yay! Okay, any of the other two here? Slieko or Heart of the Sea? Okay. Alright, honey, it looks like we're going to you. Cool. Alright, honey, you deleted the old one, so I'm gonna guess this is the one you want to talk about. My computer decided to start slowing down right now. Hello, Photoshop. Ah, there it is. Woo! Okay, a big image. Honey, is this the one you want to talk about? Because this is the only one I have from you. I thought you had two, but I think this is the one that you have right now. You may have deleted the old one. I don't know. I used to have two from you, but I think this is it. Are we going to do more? We're going to do as many as we get to. So, I don't know how many that's going to be. I'm just going to keep going until I get hungry. That's usually what happens. I go until I want food. And then we end the stream. Okay, honey, what do you want to talk about on this? Tell me what you're looking for feedback on. Let me know. Guys, we're almost at 400 on Twitter. I'm about to hit 400 followers on Twitter. Who's going to be my 400th follower? I'm literally very close. Yeah, what do you want to talk about, honey? Let's go. General advice, but on the hair first. Okay, for sure. Cool. I like the hair. I feel like we're on a similar. Oh, somebody just became my fortune. We are like we're on the same vein. I think of I have a very similar hairstyle. I think when I draw hair, so I think I get you. I get what you're going for. I think where we can fix the hair is going to come from fixing her skull, because she kind of has she doesn't have a skull right now. Her skull's kind of caved in. So what that means is if I drew a skull under this character, let's see. Let's literally draw a skull. Here's a skull. Here's her nose. Okay. This is fun. If you ever done this, have you ever drawn a skull under your characters before? It's very fun. Here's her mouth. And then I think her ear would be here. All right. This is her skull. Haha. So, what can we talk about this skull? I'm sure a lot of you can tell already. This is an odd skull. So let's how can we fix this skull? Already I can show you a skull should be, you know, we got the eyes. And then we got the nose. And we have this part. This isn't the problem. The problem is up here. This part is woo. Cool. A skull should be this way. Should have a back. Okay. Yay. Skull. Yeah, Sans Undertale. But Sans Undertale has a skull. His skull is the correct way a skull should look. So, how can we get her to be that? So, that's going to help you form the hair better. If you can form the hair, you're set to go. So what we're going to do is start with her face. Let's do this. She's uneven. Let's make her even. Her head is tilted, so her left eye, her eye on this that's facing us is going to be larger than the other eye, just always. So what that means is that this is gonna be, gotta add some angle. So I'm doing this so I can form a skull. So you guys can see what I'm getting at, because her head is a bit too tall. So we can bring her hair down a little bit. Because the way you're making the hair, I don't think is the issue. Like how you're forming it with your lines. Because I form the hair the same way. I also use like hard lines to form hair in my own work. So what I think it comes down to is making sure her skull is the correct size, so the shape of her hair is the correct shape. So I'm just gonna quickly do this. There we go. And then what we're gonna do is take this part and pull it closer. Hold on, I gotta take a better selection. I'm not being as careful as I probably should be. Okay. There we go. She has skull. Okay. So again, using stark lines to form hair is totally good. I do it, no problem with it. So let's talk a little bit more about the shading, which is probably where you really want the advice, is on how you're shading the hair. Because I think I see where some of your shading issues are coming in. So what I think you're doing is what I said in the last drawing that you shouldn't do, which is the airbrush. Because the gradient in your hair doesn't look so much like a gradient. It looks more like you hand airbrushed it on. So if you want gradient in your hair, I will suggest using the gradient tool that your drawing program provides instead of trying to guess it yourself. Just use a gradient tool. And like make sure if you're going to draw this character again to like keep note of like what the lightest color and what the darkest color is. And right now what I'm going to do is actually do that. The next thing is the hair highlight. That's a very common anime thing, to put like a swoop of highlight in the hair. If you're going to do that, which you can do it, do not use your smudge tool. I can tell you smudge tooled it to make it smudgy. Don't do that. Keep it a solid stroke, and don't also then do those lines. So those bright lines as well don't make sense. So it's like a lot of stuff you're putting on the hair that doesn't need to be on the hair, basically. So I'm sorry, I'm just getting this out. Oh yeah. filling in the background real quick. Don't mind me. Okay. So let's talk about how we can do the hair better. So I'm just gonna select the hair. I'll re-add the stars in later. But for now, we're just gonna focus on each layer. So we don't overcomplicate it from the start. Okay. All right, so gradient. So I'm gonna use the colors you chose, so we're not making something different. We got the light, and we got the dark. Okay. Nope. So it's kind of like starting from the center. Let's do it this way. Okay. Subtle gradient. Very subtle gradient. It's actually very cool to put a subtle gradient on your hair. If that's something you want to do, I say go for it. It adds a little something to the hair, so it's not just like boring, bland looking hair, you know? So I'm digging it. So next, what we're gonna do is while that's selected, let me just check your other drawing. So you didn't shade the hair, which is what you did. You did shade the skin. So what I'm gonna do is shade the hair to match the skin. And again, I think you did the thing I said don't do, which is use the blur tool. So, sorry, about to not use that. Let's do that. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. I think we're getting places. So next up is adding that highlight, right? You can do the stripe, so let's do it. I do a subtle version of it in my own art. You may have noticed it. What I do is I add these little dots to do the little highlight, just like a little boop boop. That's what I like to do, just a little shimmer. But for you, if you want to do the full stroke, don't smudge it. Just go for it. And don't also then add that that like weird white highlight you had. Don't do both. Pick one. There we go. Okay. Um, stars. So do you want the stars to be in the hair or like floating off the hair? Because that's gonna change a lot of stuff. So if you want the hair to have stars living inside the hair, that's gonna look a little different than if the stars like are outside of the hair, like on top of her as part of the design. So which one is it? Are the stars and moons in her hair design, or are they outside the hair design? They're floating off the hair. Perfect. Okay. So that's going to change some stuff. So let's look at your old one for a second. If we look at yours, the way you drew all the circles and stars and the whatnot, they look as if they are like her hair has these in the pattern of her hair. So it's like part of her design. So, there are ways to make it not look like that. The reason it looks that way is because you matched the angle of these shapes to the angle of her hair. So what we can do is this. I'm going to select hold on. I'm going to select all of them and then paste them. So I have them all. Okay. Add the glow in. Very rough, but you get the idea. So, how can we show that they're not attached to the hair, but they are floating on top of the hair? Very simply, actually. All it takes is putting some of them over her line art. So let's straighten out her moon first so it's not tilted, so it doesn't match her angle, and then let's put it outside. Cut some of them off too. Go back. So let's take some of these and cut them off. I will crop it later, but for now, let's do that. Again, make them all leave the line art. That way they really look like they're not part of her and that they are floating. Another way is if we take some of these and change the size. Very similar to the one where we talked about composition. If we make some of these bigger than others, they don't look so uniformed. And that way, they look more like they are living away from her, not a part of her. If that makes sense. And even put some just outside of her hair in general. Just straight up let them live outside her hair. Don't make them the same size. Anyway, Now, if I crop her down, let's do that. Actually, let's just do this. Oh, what was that? Oh, I'm on gradient. Okay. 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 Very rough the way I did it, but you get the idea. Let them all kind of float, and let's even add another one in over here. Just so we have a bunch more. Okay. That's generally what I would say about the hair. Go harder with your, like, not harder with your shadows, but don't smudge tool. Don't do two types of like highlights. Pick one type of highlight. And make sure that the form of the hair follows a skull. That actually makes sense. So let's flip. You guys ready for this? Here we go. Old. New. I'm going to actually also color the other one so you can see it better. All right. As I do this, honey, was there anything else or was that it? Just the hair. You can also see I moved the face like a little bit more over. That way we could really get an angle on the head because her eyes were not matching the angle that her hair was flowing. So make sure that everything matches the same angle. Is that it, honey? I think that's it. Unless there's something else you want to talk about. If not, I'm going to call 3 more people. Yeah. Okay. All right, honey. I hope that helped. Let's call 3 more names, shall we? Let's go farther down the list. Why not? We're at the bottom of the list. Let's keep it going. Okay. Is one of these 3 people here? Or all 3 of you? You ready? I didn't press quit. Don't quit Photoshop. Okay. If you are here, tell me you are here. And if your name is different than on YouTube, on Discord, tell me who you are. A pause 2, Mini Many, or Prideful. Are one of you here? Or all 3 of you here? A pause 2, Mini Many, or Prideful. Okay. And I'll go in that, if multiple of you are here, I'll go in that order. Mini Many's here. Perfect. Also, hi everyone who's joining the Discord right now. Hope you have a fun time. A-Pause is also here. Perfect. Is Prideful here? Because if you're all here, then I think that's all 3 of the next people. Okay. Alright, I guess we'll start. If Prideful shows up, we'll start. So A-Pause is first. A-Pause, what do you want to talk about? What do you want some feedback on? Child anatomy. Okay. Anatomy, for sure. We can do that. And it's a child. Cool. We can focus on that. Anything else? Or just anatomy? Is that all you need? He's 8 or 9. Okay. Sick. Thanks everyone who followed me on Twitter. We hit 400. Thanks, guys. Now, if we can get my Instagram to 2K, then I'm doing a draw this in my style. So you guys know, when I hit 2K on Instagram, I'm doing a draw this in my style, in your style thing, and the winners will get art from me. It's gonna be like an art giveaway. So if you draw in, so if we get to 2K on Insta, you guys can get art from me for free if you win the draw this in your style. Okay. All right, child anatomy. Okay. So, children. Children, oh, children. Okay. Well, let's start by breaking down what you have, and we can work from there, all right? Because I have drawn a children many a time. So, there are some things that are different about kids than there are with adults, that's for sure. Some basic things to think about when drawing a child. Fat. Most kids aren't fit. You don't really get muscles when you're a child. You can be strong as a child. I'm not saying there's not strong children, but you don't develop muscles in the way that an adult develops muscles. So that's why a lot of kids are like chunky when they're young, but then they grow up and they suddenly are buff instead of being fat, right? That's a common thing because, baby fat is a thing. Most people have a little bit of baby fat. And then as you grow taller, your body's basically stretching out and your baby fat just grows into normal skin because you're just kind of like stretching yourself. So that's one thing to think about. The proportions of a child are going to be squashed. So think of height. So if you're thinking about height, it's different than if you are if you're drawing like someone with dwarfism. That's a little different than a child. So don't get them confused because it's very easy. I see it all the time where somebody draws a child, but they're kind of treating them like they are like an adult, and because of that, it kind of now looks like it's just an adult with dwarfism, less so a actual child. So just be a little careful on, how you form your proportions. So there's definitely some things I'm seeing already, that we should talk about. Do you also want me to talk about this one? Yeah, I'll break down both. Why not? We're in this zone. So yeah, definitely remember fat. Children are not built the way an adult is. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. This is fine. So when you're doing a bust, you don't have to worry so much about it. It's when we're doing the full body. So here we go. So one thing I'm going to say is you gave him too much chest. You've kind of accentuated him. I know you're doing like a stylized thing, but the way you've done it, he looks like a grown man who's just been squashed down. So this shouldn't be a thing. It should be more. Ready? Transform tool. And again, his so right now his head is too big. So if I make his head normal size and his body the same size, do you see what I mean? He just looks like a tall person because you've given him extremely long legs. Like extremely long legs. And so he does not come off as a child. Here we go. So we're going to squash him. You know what? Actually, we should just squash his entire body. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. So you did have his upper half being very wide in comparison to his bottom half. So we gotta squash this boy down. Oh, I know what we can do. So squashing him, I know what we can do. I'm just gonna like straight up cut the legs. Trying to figure out the way to do this without ruining, you know, everything. Okay. There we go. And then we're gonna also take this, this part is too, he's bow-legged. That's something I should say. He's bow-legged, so we should change that. No one stands this way unless you're Jensen Ackles. He's the bow-legged king. So avoid bow-legging your characters because that's not normal. So what that means is I'm just gonna do this. Stop. Stop it. Actually. Okay. Let's unbow-leg him. Oh, Jensen Ackles is a actor from Supernatural. He played Dean Winchester, and he famously walks bow-legged. If you don't know what bow-legged is, it's when your feet point inward when you walk, and that's not correct. Like that means there's something wrong with your bones. And there was a joke when you watch Supernatural that Jensen Ackles walks that way, so he looks bow-legged. A lot of animals are actually bow-legged. A lot of pets. If you have like a dog or a cat, that's actually a thing. I don't know why. It's a common thing between pet animals. Okay. Here we go. I'm only focusing on one half of his body at a time. So, let's get his bottom half right first, and then we'll fix his top half. Alright. There we go. Now he has correctly proportioned tiny legs. Now we gotta fix his top half. Alright. So, top half. His whole chest has to be fixed up. So, what we're gonna do is a couple things. His definitely should not be so wide. He's got, so we talked about shoulders a lot today. So something about kids is they will not have such broad shoulders, just in general. Kids are not going to be broad. Like it has to do with the muscle things. Kids don't have muscles, so they're not gonna be muscular. That's not a thing. I would highly suggest, I don't know if you used a reference, but there's a lot of pictures of like fancy fitted children, like where they're wearing suits and stuff. I don't know why this is a thing, but like look for a picture of a child in a suit and it'll change your life. It'll help you so much. Just trust me. There's a lot of them out there. Okay. Okay, you want to give him shoulder pads? We can give him shoulder pads. I'll show you how you can give him shoulder pads without making him look like an adult. So, less pointy. Let's do that just because he's not the child. Again. Shoulder pads. If you want to do shoulder pads, keep his shoulders the same, but then, like, you point them out from the body. Like that. Business boy. But he should be very straight in his body, for sure. Could even give him a comically large tie. That would be funny. But that's up to you. Now I just gotta also do this. And I think he is slanted, so let's unslant him. He's a little tiny slanted. Okay. Okay. Next is his head. Okay. Let's see. Again, he's a little slanted, so let's unslant him. And then his head's gonna have to be... So kids have... Here's the thing with kids. They tend to have big heads. Like, in the way that you would think is unnatural for a human being. So, just something to think about. Kids have big heads, but they also have very round heads. They're not gonna have pointy chins. Okay? That's not a thing. Kids, again, have no muscles, and they're very soft looking. So, they're gonna have very soft features. So, very round, male and female, doesn't matter. They're going to have a round face. So, just think of that. As well as they won't have really, like, sharp chins or anything like that. So, we can... No, children do not have pointy chins. It's not a thing. Again, it has to do with the baby fat thing, you know? We grow into the shape of our faces, but we are all very similar looking when we come out. So, it's hard to tell babies apart, right? I believe a lot of your facial structure is too large, though, so even though that is true, some of the same things apply, you know, your the proportion distance between your mouth and your chin is going to be the same no matter how old you get. So think of that as well. Oh, come on. So he is straightforward, but you've drawn his facial features kind of slanted as if they're at an angle. So just watch the angle you're drawing at. Also, if he's looking at us, his pupil should be center in his eye. There we go. And then just include some of the white space. If you're trying to cover his eye, I'd say straight up go for it. Don't be afraid to give him that emo hair. You're not good with front facing? Well, you've tried. That's the first step to getting better at anything, is just by doing it. So you're doing it. That's a good start. Also, with kids, they're not going to have such long noses. It all has to do with, it's kind of like you're squishing, like I said, it's like you're squishing an adult down. So take everything that would be in an adult and just squish it. So like the noses aren't going to be as long and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Gonna give him more skull. Like stretching out the hair a bit. There we go. Now he's got some more skull on the top of his head, for sure. Okay. Very rough. I'm just kind of trying to take your style and conform it to child without, redrawing anything you've drawn. I don't want to do that. So it's very rough, but hopefully we get an understanding. There we go. That's what he needed. His eye was too high up on his head. Other people struggle with kids. Good to know that y'all are getting some help on this. I'm glad other people are finding this helpful. Say you can never learn unless you try. So you just gotta try. And if you fail, you'll learn as you fail, right? Okay. Child. Okay. So, should the eyes be bigger? Yes. Children have big eyes. That's also a thing. So before that, let me just last check if there's any other squishing or anything I want to do. Nah, he looked fine. Okay, let's talk about the side view really quick. Very quick, because I spent a lot of time on this boy. Very interesting. The way you drew in your side view does not look like how you drew him in the front view. They look like different characters. So, first thing, he needs a skull. He has no skull. Give him a skull. If he's emo and you're covering an eye, let's keep that up. We're covering this eye. We're not going to see this eye. You didn't see it in the front view. You're not going to see it in the side view. So long, eye. It doesn't exist now. Match, always match. You drew it one way, you gotta match it in the other views, okay? Next. His tentacles also should match. Make sure the tentacles match. And the one that's closer to us is going to be larger because of perspective. So think of that. Okay. Also, you're doing be careful of your shading. You are getting very close to having the brush having the I know this isn't what you were to talk about, but your shading is getting very close to the smudge effect that we're not looking for. Their ear folds, they look like tentacles. I thought they were tentacles. Am I the only one who thought they were tentacles? Like, I thought he was like a mini Cthulhu. Like a humanized Cthulhu, so he had little tentacles on the side of his head. I guess I was wrong. So I know you like your sharp shapes, but this is the time where you gotta get rid of your sharp shapes because kids don't have that. Fat neck, you got fat neck as well. Like, just like, watch how fat your neck is gonna be. Did anybody else? What did you guys think the ear folds were? Let me know. Because I'm interested to know what you guys thought they were. You do this too. Never ever your eye, even on a side view, there should be a little bit of distance between the eyeball and the side of the head, okay? Always. Oh, that's a tail? I thought this was a handkerchief. This is a tail? I thought it was like a little pocket square that was coming out of him. Uh-oh. Okay, well, I think you should work on the tail on his design. Because I thought it was a pocket square, because it looks like it's coming out of his pocket. So what if we do this? Let's move it down. Now it's less pocket square. Whoops. That's my bad. I thought he was a fancy boy with a pocket square. And coming like a little handkerchief coming out of his pocket. Well, so that tells you a little bit about, you know, making sure your designs are readable. So kids are actually the best place to do the little indent because they have very squishy faces. So his nose again is very long. Doesn't really fit the proportions of a child. So let's do that. So just always make sure when you draw them from a different view, you know, you're matching your characters. So they always look like the same character, even when you're changing view. It's supposed to be a little fluffy tail? Okay, I can show you how to do that. Let's do that really quick. In the vein of like a bunny tail, you can do the bunny tail thing where it's like a poof, or, let's see. Especially for a tail, I would suggest having one half be fluffy, but the other half not be fluffy. If that makes sense. Just so we can see the edge with a point, so we can, hold on. I have to put in my food order. So let me do this and then put my food order in. Matzo ball soup, yeah. Gonna get, and then his mouth is very low, so let's fix that. Okay. So rough. Bear with me, guys. So yeah, make sure you keep a distance. And I also cannot tell which direction he's looking here. I'm guessing because he's a kid, he's probably looking at us. So you should have the eyeball be a little up. Just a general advice. Okay, we got a boy. His face, I think we've done good on. I think now the rest is kind of fixing the anatomy a little bit. So yes, on the rest of him, again, he got a thick neck. So let's do that. So if you guys are struggling with like drawing characters from different directions, I highly suggest making a character turnaround sheet and using a grid. Like draw a grid that matches the character so you can make sure you're like putting the character the same every time. I know I kind of got rid of your cross-hatching. I'm sorry. But pretend the cross-hatching was still there. So just be warned, some of your angles are off in the direction he's facing. You kind of got his body as if it was facing forward, but he's facing to the side. So just make sure you're matching the angles of the directions he's facing. And this, again, this shoulder is not in the right direction, and it's too pointy. There we go. But we can give him those pointy shoulders, but keep his body not pointy. Okay. Very, very rough. And then I'm also gonna do this. Um, okay. I think that's it. Minnie May, are you still here? Because we're gonna head to you next after I say a pause. How do you feel about this? And I'm gonna do a little flip. So we can kind of see them back to back, you know? But yeah, thoughts on this as well as, you know, how you feeling now? And Minnie May, we're gonna go to you next. And we'll do a flip. You guys ready for the flip? Here we go. A flip. Yeah, okay, Minnie May's here. Sweet. Alright. That's this. Thoughts? How we feeling? How about everybody else? Was this helpful for everyone else too? Are children less scary now? To draw at least? Maybe not to meet in person, but to draw? They're so different. I just photo edited, man. It's all your original sketches. I just resized stuff. As per usual. It's all your art. I'm just resizing things and filling in gaps. Okay. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm ordering dinner. Ooh. Hold on guys. Oh, thanks for all the follows, guys. Ooh, okay. We hit 1530. We're close. Okay. Give me a second, guys. Ba 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 ba. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. We're gonna do Minnie May. Sorry, food. We're gonna talk about Minnie Mays, and then we'll see if I have time after that because I think I'm ordering food right now. So it may not. We'll see. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. I have to step out, and then Minnie May. While I'm gone, Minnie May, what do you want to talk about? Please tell me in chat what you want to talk about. Okay, be right back. Okay. Okay, hi everybody. Okay, hi. Hello. Minnie May, what do you want to talk about? in this drawing. Okay. Please tell me, what are we talking about? Okay. Is Minnie May still here? Uh-oh. No, Minnie May's here. Okay. You want colors that you're satisfied with for the design. Okay. Can you give me a little, like a very short sentence about this character so I know what I'm looking at? Like what are we going for? And also, is she a Sonic OC? Because I'm getting Sonic vibes, like the art style is very Sonic vibe. But yeah, give me a little, very short one sentence. Who is this character? Yeah. Glad to see everyone's chilling on the server. Can I go on? Yeah. Okay. Minnie May, are you typing? Cause Sonic OC, he a panda, Forest, and he's a swordsman. Okay, so I was right about the Sonic thing. Okay, colors. So first thing, I don't really tell he's a panda. So let's do the same thing we did before, shall we, with the other character. So when we talked about colors with the other character, I did this. So let's do it again. Okay. Let's go. So, panda. Forest swordsman. Okay, there's a lot there. First off, panda. Black and white. That's the common panda colors. So, I know it's Sonic characters. They are very, like, cartoonified from their original animal, but we can still tell that's what the animal is, you know? Like, there's very obvious things that say Sonic is a hedgehog, right? There's obvious things that say Tails is a fox, right? We're not guessing at this. Like, we can tell through their designs that that's who they're supposed to be. There's some things we can do that are not just colors, but like design in general. First, with the colors, I would say is you gotta go black and white, and you've gone gray, and that's not black and white. And when I say that, I mean like full on, go full black and white. Why am I doing this? I can just do this. Hold on. I have a better idea. I'm spending too much time on this. Okay. Let's do this. This is so much easier. So, how can we get him to look panda-like? Also, how can I get him to look like a he? because I thought it was a she. So let's talk about this. First, let's work on the forms before we do colors. So I think for panda, if I remember what pandas look like, they are a lot more, they aren't as tall in their ears as you have. So you have very tall ears. So I think we gotta squish them and make them wider. They're bears, right? Pandas are bears. So let's do that. That's the first thing. Hold on. Next, this line art here I think is what's making me think it's a sheik because it kind of looks like he has eyelashes. So be careful that your line art, or at least even your sketch, is very purposefully drawn and that you're not giving him eyelashes when he doesn't have eyelashes, right? We got a lot of tangents. Let's fix those up. Just make sure his base drawing is readable as a panda bear before we go farther. So I know Sonic has these eyes and this thing. That's like their thing. But because of his long hair, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on his face. And I wonder, because pandas have spots, like black and white spots, I wonder if we can have a way, maybe even his hair can show the spots, like if his fur doesn't. So if we want swordsman, because I'm getting very, when I think swordsman, I always think of Fire Emblem, because I like Fire Emblem a lot. So I try to think of the swords characters from Fire Emblem and what works on them, and how I can now bring that into your character. One of my main character actually is heavily based on Fire Emblem swords, swordmasters, just how his outfit looks and stuff like that. So we can kind of put that in here. So something for sure we can do with his outfit is, I like the tie, but let's see what else we can do to embrace that. So I don't know if he's wearing arm like socks, but if it's arm socks, I don't think that's going to work. If it's supposed to be a pattern, I think you can be more random with your pattern, because that's going to be more panda-like to have like more of a random pattern. So hold on. What I'm going to do, give me a second. So let's first work on the outfit, and then we'll figure out the spots. Okay. So I don't know what this line is, because that looks like it's his belly. I also don't know what this is. Is this where he holds his sword? Okay, so if this is where he holds his sword, this is important. So it's got to come over here. This is like his sword halberd thing, his sword hold. I can speak today. The holder of the swords. So a lot of swords characters will have this. You're correct with the sash, but I also think, because you have pants on him, so what we could even do is, instead of pants, is we can go for more of like a tunic kind of thing, because he's like a swordsman. So bear with me. Gotta add those little fabric things. Okay, this is his sword holder, so let's literally give him a sword. Let's do that. This thing's too loose. Gotta change the angle. Alright, make it tighter on him by crossing his chest. And then this satch can still be here for sure. That works for a swordsman. They tend to have those. And then it would be cool. Let's see. This is so messy. So something that they tend to have are these like tunic things that like come like here. And I'll make it make a little more sense in a second. If we're talking more samurai-esque, because he's a panda, I feel like you're probably going more samurai than anything than any other kind of swordsman. So if we give him this kind of thing going on, for sure. Okay. Sword. He have big sword. Let's go. Pirate. Oh. Okay, you're going for pirate paladin. Alright, I gotta change my entire idea. Okay, let's give him a sword first. Give him a sword. Now he has a sword. So, pirate. If you're going pirate, give him a bandana. Give him a bandana. Straight up. Give him a shirt that's like not all the way down. And then what we can do. And they have big pants. So like very baggy pants. So let's do that. Pirates tend to have very baggy pants. Give them baggy pants. We can keep the cutoff, but give them baggy pants. Thinking like, what does a pirate wear? And then you want a samurai mix, then you should give him armor. Have you thought of giving armor? Because, not samurai, a, paladin. Because paladins wear armor. So, he's not wearing armor. Let's give him some armor. Because right now he doesn't say paladin. I thought he was like a Japanese swordsman. Based off your design. So let's go for it. If you're up to giving him a bandana, I'd say go for it. I'm not going to do it because it'll block everything, but I think that's going to really make him look pirate-like, more so than this. This is a good start, but you can go harder. And then, as well, paladin. Let's give him some armor. So what if he had shoulder pads? Right? You're not good with armor? You can do super simple stuff. You don't need to go crazy. If you're trying to mix two things together, mix them together as easily as possible. So I'm just going to draw like literal circle shoulder pads. And then maybe he has like a chest plate. Okay. Very simple. Like, just use shapes. You don't gotta go like hardcore. But if you're saying you want these things, like he's supposed to be a paladin, you gotta show it. Because like I said, I thought he was a samurai when you said he's a swordsman. He looked more like a samurai. So that's the vein I was going for at the time. So if you don't want people questioning your character as to why they look the way they do, you gotta be very specific with your design choices. And this is gonna be a knee plate. I know you've cut the legs off, so pretend that there is armor down here. Here we go. This is more armor legs. Okay. And then, I mean, you don't have anything here, but you could give him gauntlets. That could be cool. You know, if you want to give him gauntlets. Very simple armor. But you got this mix now. Again, very rough. I'm not doing anything crazy. Okay. Very simple start. Let's do colors now that we have like a basic. Don't they have like big glove hands? It's been a while since I've looked at a Sonic character. Sure. He has big hands. Sonic hands. Big feet. Haha, no, I'm not keeping that. We're gonna keep them cut off. Okay. Okay, let's talk colors. So, we're gonna do two things. One, I'm gonna do one that's the colors you did with this design. And then we're gonna do another one where we're gonna change the colors so we can see the difference. Okay, so let's do this. Everyone who joined late, I may have called you already. I was going in a random order, though, so I may have missed you. So, you know, stream starts at 4, and this is actually, I'm probably going to end soon, because it's 7:30, and I got to eat dinner. So, I know time zones are a thing, but if you ever make a stream, the streams are always at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. So, keep that in mind for the future. Okay. Let's do colors. So, let's do the colors you've done first, and then, like I said, we'll swap. So, purple hair, got it. So, as we go, let's talk about it. So, like I said, panda, black and white. And then you wanted a forest. He lives in a forest, right? So, what if his colors matched where he lived? As in camouflage, like natural camouflage. So, a lot of animals actually have this, where they're colored very similarly to their habitat. That way, they blend in naturally. So that's something to think about. If he's a forest dweller, would he have colors related to a forest? Because purple is going to make him stand out so much in a forest. Like, you're going to be able to notice him immediately. You know, you're not going to be able to. He won't be able to hide. Right? He won't have camouflage. He won't look like he belongs there. So especially if he's like a samurai kind of guy and he's maybe a little stealthy, you're gonna want him to blend into his environment real bad. You know, you really want him to blend into his environment. So bright purple, there is no camouflage in his natural colors that way. Every single enemy is gonna see him coming. He's never gonna have a surprise attack, you know, ever. This guy is gonna be noticed. So something to think about. With that in mind, I'm actually gonna take that idea into what I'm about to do. So we can actually see it. Okay, so that's your colors. I don't want to go too far from your original, but I do think it would be interesting if this colors were more black and white. So, panda, what if one of his ears was white? You know, one half of his face had a spot on it. And then that thing could also apply Let's see. So what if we did this? What if he had some like natural spots, you know? He just has some natural spots going on. The pandas have all black ears, maybe, but it's a Sonic character, and if you're hiding his face with the spots, then I don't know. It's more interesting if he has spots, right? He doesn't have to look panda exactly, but we want to imply panda. You know what I mean? Again, his face, everyone's saying pandas have 2 black ears. So the reason I'm doing this is because his entire face is covered. And because of that, it's impossible to give him patterns on his face because his hair is so long, and he also has the big muzzle that all Sonic characters have. If you wanted to make the muzzle have spots, that'd be a different thing. But we are trying to imply panda in the best way we possibly can. And pandas are known for being black and white. So if the best way you can show it is having 1/2 black, 1/2 white in some way, that's the best way. It implies panda more so than the way it was implied before. There was no panda being implied before. Okay, next. If the hair was green instead of purple. Okay. Let's go like a dark forest green. This way he blends with nature. So he lives in nature. He's a swordsman who fights. He wants some stealth on his side. His bright purple hair is gonna make him stand out like crazy. Green like bamboo, yeah. Learn spots of a dog. Look, man, I'm doing off the top of my head. My point with the spots is okay, like I say every time, if I critique your art, you don't need to do what I'm telling you to do. Okay, guys? I am giving a general advice on things you should think about when you design things or draw things in general. It does not mean I'm telling you you must do this or your character looks bad. You know what I mean? I'm just giving you some ideas to think about. This does not need to look like what your final version looks like. You don't need to make him look like this. However, I'm giving general things of what maybe you should think about in general. So maybe it's not for this character, but the next character you design, if you start thinking about all of these things from point 1, you won't run into the problems when you're much later into your character design as the things that we're running into now. So these are the things you should think about from day 1. Okay? How do I imply panda in a Sonic style? 1, personally, I wouldn't give him long hair. I'm just going to say that. I personally would change his hairstyle. That way I would have more room to show the patterns of a correct panda. Because I think they're like, I don't know, pandas have a very specific pattern. Point is, I personally would have not given him long hair. Just because it hides the fact that he's a panda. It's really hard to tell he's a panda with his whole face. I think it's the bangs especially. I wouldn't have given him these bangs. It just really hides him. Also, if he's a fighter and he's like moving with armor, I don't know. I mean, there's some Fire Emblem characters with long hair that are sword fighters, so it works. But point is, it's just some things to think about. I know there was somebody recently who I gave the advice. They were making a character design and they couldn't figure out their design, and I told them, go back to step 1 and sketch like 8 different designs based off of the character you what did I say? Like, go back to step 1 and redesign the character 8 different times without taking anything from the last design. Completely new designs every time. And then, when you're done, look at all of them, and pick the things from each design that you like and make that your final character. That way, you don't just stick with point one, and you're not just like, all right, I made one design and that's the design, you know, that's it. Like, it's not like the one design, you know? You need to have choices, because the first thing you come up with is going to be the worst thing you come up with. Trust me on this. That's why all of my old characters suck. Because they were the first thing I come up with. Okay, let's continue this. We could keep the light eyes, but if we're gonna go green now, let's make him bamboo. So let's go full bamboo. What if he was brown for some of his outfit, right? Instead of, so he's really bamboo. So I'm actually gonna do this. Browns and greens go really well together because it's like a natural tone. And if we really want to like say, hey, he's a forest boy. Also, bamboo exists. Why not? Now he's a forest boy. And we could even like here his sword. Okay. Now he blends with nature, right? You can even like give a color to, you know, this. I don't know. Okay, so that took a long time. Who is this advice for again? Mini May. I know I kind of got on a spiel for a little bit. But I want to ask you, the person whose drawing this is, was this helpful in any way at all? And how do you feel now that we've talked about this in general? I would like to know. As well, for anyone else in chat, was any of this helpful for you as well? Maybe thinking about character design a little deeper than just, I like character thing, I'm going to draw it. Go a little deeper than that. Was that a little helpful? Also, my dinner hasn't come yet. So when Minnie May tells me how they feel, I think I'm going to do one more person because I have no food yet. And let's keep going until my food arrives. All right. Sound good? Keep purple as his main color. Minnie May, I would like to know why you want purple as his main color. And I want to know, past like I like the aesthetic, why are you so attached to purple? I want to know. Because I'm very interested as to why you want purple so badly. And as you tell me, I'm going to start reading some other names. Because I'm interested. Like, I personally, like, I was that way. Like, a lot of my old characters that I'm redesigning, I don't like changing the colors too much because I'm very attached to their color palettes. But I've learned over time, you gotta let it go, you know? I'll tell you too, like, if you ever, like, pitch a show or anything, like, if you ever looked at a TV show's, if you looked at the pilot of a TV show versus the final of the TV show, it's, like, completely drastically different. Like, so much stuff changed between the pilot and the actual show that you're watching. Animated shows, specifically. So that's the kind of thing you have to take with your art, is you have to learn to not be so attached to something that you've had forever. And sometimes you just gotta take it into yourself and be like, why? It fits his personality. He's new to fighting. Okay, but where did he grow up? Did he grow up in the forest? If he grew up in the forest, would bright purple make sense for somebody who grew up in the forest? You know, what was he like before he started fighting? You know, what was he? Did he get his outfit from a master? Maybe he has the color palette of a master. Like if his master wore purple, then I could understand him wearing purple because he's trying to emulate that, right? I would suggest if you're sticking with the purple, you got to come up with a reason as to why, more than just his personality. Because like you could give him purple highlights, like you could give his eyes purple color instead, or maybe his like you can have some purple moments. An overgrown city, yeah, he grew up in a city with trees. I don't think he'd be purple. So this is just something. This is, I mean, that's just me. But I would suggest purple. Purple is more for somebody who grew up. Purple gives more of like an outer space vibe, a night sky vibe, somebody who's more mystical. Like purple's the color of a mage. You know what I mean? Like purple is someone who can do magic, right? That's what purple feels like. So this is another thing, color theory, is to think deeper on the emotions that purple provide you, right? What are some objects in history? What are some objects in media? What are general things that we understand these colors to be related to? Right? Does that make sense? So for purple, the connotation of purple is royalty. You know, royalty is purple always. It's been the color of royalty for generations because purple was the only dye. It was like the rich dye. It was the most expensive dye to make. So if you wore purple, that means you had money to buy purple clothes. Purple also is usually with, you know, sometimes evil things have like a dark purple mist to them as well. That's also a thing to think about. So I don't want you, I know you're probably like, you're like, kind of don't want to talk about this anymore. But I really want you to think deeper onto your colors than just, I like the color purple because he looks cool in it. You know, let's go a little farther than that. Let's actually start thinking about colors a little deeper. And it's going to change everything. And if that means you have to change your other characters too, change your other characters. It's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if I have an exact example with my OCs. But like, oh, I do. So my, one of my so in my OC redesign videos, my character Noda, who was the Pegasus girl, who I turned into a bat, she used to have bright pink on her color design. Right? Like, that was part of her. She was like pink, green, and black. Those were her colors. And when I redesigned her, I completely got rid of the pink. Because to me, that bright pink was too cheerful. It was like a happy-go-lucky, pretty color for like a completely different character. And she was not a bright pink character, just in general. Like, the vibes and the theory behind pink did not match the, like, character I was trying to build. So I just completely nixed the color from her palette, and now she's very much dark green and black. And those colors are so much more her. Like this dark nature, like she's very much one with nature, so the green made sense. Like she's very, her whole plot is like she's trying to save her world and the land, so she's trying to save the land. So green makes sense, and the dark black stuff, right? So for me, that was something I did, is I completely got rid of a color that I learned because I learned more about color theory, just didn't match the character at all. So this isn't just for Minnie-May, by the way. This is for everyone out there. These are things you should think about when you come up with character colors. Like, think a little farther than just, I think this is a pretty color, you know? Let's go a little deeper. And why? Why do you think that this works for the character? Does it? Can we change it? And another way to do this is something I've done before is you finish a drawing and then you color it in like 4 different ways. Make 4 different color palettes. And then you can see, oh, okay, I see what's going on here, right? Then you can have choices. Choices are the best, okay? All right. I got on a tangent. I'm going to call 3 more names, and then this is going to be our final one because I'm sure my food will arrive by the time we do this. Let's go back to the top. Who's up top? Okay. Who haven't I called? Okay. All right. Next 3 cool. If one of you are here, please let me know. If you are here, and if you are a different username, although, oh, okay, we'll do this fast because I think my food arrived. If you're a different username, then on Discord, please tell me. This is the last person. I'm only gonna pick one, okay? Vendy the Cat, Prosperous Moon, or Cole. Cole, Vendy the Cat, or Prosperous Moon. Are any of you here? Prosperous Moon is here. Okay, you are going to be our last one, Prosperous Moon. I hope you're ready. Perfect. All right, you submitted this one. All right, final one. What do you want to talk about? What are we talking about? Please let me know. A pause. If you're asking if you can delete, you don't need to delete. Don't worry. You don't have to delete your old one. Okay, coloring and shading. Okay, sure, we can talk about that. So, first thing I like to do is make this grayscale. There we go. Let's look at this in grayscale. Light sources are hard. Okay, for sure, we can talk about it. So in grayscale, what can we see? Ready? All right, you've got a nice variety. However, there's nothing very bright, and I think that's an issue with your coloring. So even your brightest colors that you look, like when you look at these bright colors in the color form, they look kind of bright, but when we make them grayscale, they aren't that bright at all. So what I'm gonna do, let's make these legs even brighter because they're very gray. They're very toned down. You know, they're not as bright as they probably should be. Because I think you're getting, like, you're trying to get this, like, mechanical, like, leg thing with the, like, bright colors, right? So let's do that. Brighten those legs up. Okay. Okay, and then the insides here with the mechanical parts, the like waveform, I think those are also supposed to be bright, right? So like this waveform thing, let's brighten that up too. Yeah, the reason we want it bright is because, as you can see in the black and white form, there is no contrast between, you know, one or the other. There's very little contrast in your colors. They're all very monotoned. So we're just gonna like pull those up a bit. Especially because they're like they're not real, you know? Let's go for it. Hold on. Yeah, whatever. Okay, it's gonna be rough. And then I think we're good. Let's make this earring brighter. These earrings are blending. Let's boost those earrings. All right. Okay. What else? I think her eyes may be okay. I'm just worried they're a little too close to white. You know what it is? I think it's these lines. There's just something about this eye that's dark. Let's brighten the eye. And now... So we want these to be bright, but we still want to make sure we can tell what's going on. Okay. Okay, I think that works. Let me just check what she looks like in color form so I can understand what's going on. Okay, for sure. Okay, I think... Oops. I think the rest is pretty okay. I'm actually, you know what? I think her shirt could be darker. Because you have nothing like crazy dark besides like the background. So I think the contrast of having this, especially because your hand, your robot hand, is a little too similar to the shirt. Let's see if we darken that a little bit. See what happens. Okay, yeah, just a better difference between her arm and her chest. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna duplicate the colors, and we're gonna overlay the colors onto the new black and white. Okay, so now, all right, this is our new black and white with the brighter, with the new thing going on. This is what we got. Okay, so for context, okay? When you overlay it on top, this is what we get. It's a little different because the overlay does that, but very similar idea. What's going on? I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to lower the opacity. There we go. Yeah, okay. Just because the overlay lowered the colors of the hair, so the hair colors would normally be the same, but you get the idea. So I guess lighting we can quickly discuss, because I have food here waiting for me, so I'm gonna want to do that, eat that food. So you got the same idea. You got these two light sources. So here, this is one light source, the eye, and then you got these legs, right? These are your light sources, as well as the chest. So, like usual, what I suggest is working with the light source. So whatever's right next to it is going to glow, right? So all of this is going to be glowing. However, everything far away will not be. So this, say goodbye. This should not glow. Too far away. Same thing with these hair tips. They're on the wrong side of the hair. They shouldn't glow either. This cannon, no glow. Okay. So I guess I'll do the glow first so you get an understanding. So basically how lighting works, if you're confused, is you have an object. My phone. Actually, I'll turn my light here. This is my light source, right? My hand. Whatever is directly next to the light source is going to glow. Very bright. However, everything on the opposite side, so the back of my hand, is in shadow. Like very dark shadow. Okay? So, that's how lighting works. If you have lights that are very, very close to an object, very close, they're going to be this drastic. Okay? Because they're right directly next to it. I'm sorry for my camera picking up this light. However, if I put my light source really far away, the front of it is still light and the back is still dark. However, it's not such a high contrast as it was before. So, very close, far away. Okay. Sorry you had to look at a light for a second, guys. Alright, this is so rough, but yeah. You get the idea. Glowy, glowy. Okay, I hope that helped. I'm gonna quickly pop between the two so you can see what's going on. So we got old, new. Obviously, my colors got a little blown out when I started to add all the craziness, but you get the idea. So yeah, if you're ever unsure about your colors, check them in black and white, see what's going on. And then, yeah, make sure you're following a light source. Okay. I gotta end it there. I have food I need to eat before it goes cold. I hope this was fun for you guys. I'll enjoy this. Probably gonna take a break next week because of the holidays, and I'm sure all of you want a break too. If I don't take a break and I do stream, it's not gonna be this. I'll do something really chill next week if I stream. It may be on a different day. Maybe I'll do it on Thursday because nobody's doing anything on Christmas Eve. Who's going anywhere? But I'll do something chill. I have an idea of something I want to do on stream that's like not like this. It's way more just I'm gonna draw and talk to you guys like we were doing before with the Danganronpa drawing. Okay. Thank you guys. See you guys on the Discord if you're there. Thank you for joining me. This was a very long stream. I hope you guys have a good holiday. New video tomorrow. It's another sketchbook video, and then taking a break for a couple weeks because of all the holidays. With some other videos. But yeah. Thank you guys. See you guys next time. Hope this was helpful. Bye bye.